Hey, what is happening, Bulls and Bears? My name is JJ, and I've lost all hope. Seriously, take a look at some information we're going to give you. We're going to get into some very strange and, in my opinion, sad purchases and things that people are spending their money on. And of course, we're going to get into the inflation numbers, the plunging savings rate. Wow, wait till you guys see this. What else do we have on tap? Well, let's go ahead and start right here. To me, this is really, really sad. Here's what people are choosing to spend their money on. And this is out of the Sun. This is apparently a trend. And we have pants here. Let me bring up a picture, a bigger one. Pants here that look like they've been peed in, and this is by design. This is actually something that somebody's walking on the runway and pretending, or I don't know, pretending, but maybe they like it. Um, People are actually buying these things, and they're actually displaying these things on a runway. One of these models, I guess, right? Another one. Let me find this other story here. Just ridiculous purchases, and we're going to talk about the U.S. consumer here in a minute. We're gonna tie all this in with the economy. I got my supervision glasses on, by the way. A little bit of a bad allergy day, so here's an article here out of the Independent Journal, and this is about a social media post where somebody was complaining about a $7 apple. So they went to one of these health stores. Was it Whole Foods? Anyways, it was a organic apple, the most expensive kind, and one of these more expensive stores, like a Whole Food type of store. And she ended up weighing it. I guess it was per pound. Ended up being close to $7. My concern is, why did she continue to buy the apple? Was she starving? Could she not have waited to maybe go to a different store or just maybe put the apple back and buy something else? But this is the consumer, right? This is a consumer. We want to jump on every trend, and I don't know if that's going to be a trend with those pants that look like somebody had a pee-pee mess. But this is the U.S. consumer, folks. We buy silly things. We overpay for things just because are we too lazy to go look for a better deal? I had a customer the other day, and I talk to people about their finances every day. That's what I do. Complaining about her car insurance. Her car insurance went up to like $2,000 a year for one car. Now she had an accident on her record, so but $2,000 a year for one car. I asked her, okay, did you get other quotes? How many other quotes did you get? And were the quotes any better? Were they higher? What happened? No, I didn't get any quotes. Folks, it takes 5-10 minutes to go online and do a quote, and you can even submit your information to one of these places or websites. I don't know the name of it, but it'll submit your quote to a bunch of different companies, right? It's not that difficult. This person probably wasn't consumer computer savvy because she was probably in her maybe late 60s, but that's not actually old. I know people in their 70s that do things on the computer just fine. The point is, she didn't call around to get other quotes, so she could be severely overpaying for her car insurance. All right. I asked her what coverages she had. She didn't know. All right. These this is the US consumer. People are just throwing money out the window, not shopping around for better deals, spending $7 on an apple, buying pants that look like they've been peed in. Two separate things. Buying something that's overpriced versus buying something that's completely absurd. But that's my opinion. Maybe did any of you think those pants look cool? This is what people are spending their money on. People are going to clubs, and what is it, $15 now for a drink? I don't even know anymore. 10, $15. Um, and people don't care. People just don't care they're in debt. So on one hand, we sit here and often we talk about the system. It's unfair or it's designed to fail. But then on the other hand, you've got to look at the consumer. The consumer. If you don't blame some of this on the consumer, then I think you're looking in the wrong direction, right? It's a balance, right? People and companies can't be greedy without customers willing to pay these ridiculous prices, right? So you can't have greed without a sucker somewhere, right? It's two ways, right? The transaction is a buyer and the seller. Just like when you sell a stock, when you buy a stock, there's always a buyer and seller of every transaction, right? So, anyways, I wanted to get that off my chest here because it's just very bothersome to see people do this. Let's talk about some of these numbers here. The Fed's preferred inflation metric rose 2.7% in March. And here we say, I've said it over and over, the inflation is here to stay. Yes, you may see the rate of increase go down every once in a while, lower than the previous month, but it's a positive number, meaning prices are still going up in the end, right? So the fact that it might have slowed down or didn't slow down from the previous month doesn't matter. This is what I shouldn't say they don't get it. They get it. The talking heads, the media pundits, even a lot of the economists out there talking about it, they get it, but they're just not leveling with you. They're not telling you what's happening, right? The cost of living is going up. And yes, there's a couple places where prices are coming down. But overall, this is a big, big problem. And you don't have to look too far to get evidence of this. Look at the personal savings rate. Just came out a couple days ago. We've got the March data, folks. The March data, U.S. savings rate in March, 3.2%, right? So we had this 3.9% in December. Everyone was optimistic in January. It jumped up to 4.1. People said, wow, people have extra money to spend after the holidays. Look what happened. Down to 3.6, now down to 3.2%. And if you don't know, this is the money they have left over at the end of the month, right? After they pay all their bills and obligations. And 3.2% is not much money left over, right? So this is getting close to a crisis level. And we know this goes along with people becoming delinquent on their credit cards. Just a couple reports ago, we talked about Discover Card, a 6% delinquency rate. Was it 5.5%, 6%? Anyways, it was about halfway to where we were back in the financial crisis. Back then, it was 9%. So this is definitely, the numbers are adding up to the fact that people are in big, big financial strain right now. If you just look around, of course, people are still buying stuff at the store. They're buying $7 apples, etc., because they have credit, folks. This whole thing is based on credit. If the banks did today what they did in the financial crisis, which was cut off credit or make it severely, they made it very a lot more difficult to borrow money and to run up your credit cards at the very beginning, right? At the end of it, of course, we had all these programs. They rescued the banks, and banks, dropped. Of course, the rates dropped to near zero for a decade. Of course, all that created this boom where we're at right now, this major bubble that's really not deflating, right? So this is danger zone, folks. I mean, when you look at these numbers, these numbers aren't my opinion. These numbers are these numbers, and I didn't create this, right? So these are things to keep an eye on, right? We all need to brace for what's coming down the pipeline. Every time we think something's going to happen here in this channel, it usually ends up happening. It's just a matter of time. Take a look at this. Economic growth. U.S. economy grew by just 1.6% in the first quarter, folks. This is gross domestic product, and this is with all the government spending. So even with this massive government spending, still the economy only grew at 1.6%. Slower than expected. I mean, I didn't expect it to be much higher than this. 1.6%. The economy cooled more than expected in the first quarter of the year. So they're saying, oh, it's a hot economy. It's just cooling, right? It's not an economic downturn, not the beginning of the end. It's just cooling. The red hot economy is cooling, right? Nothing to worry about. But remained healthy by historical standards. Economic growth has slowed steadily over the past 12 months, which bodes well for lower interest rates. But the Fed has made it clear to no rush to cut rates. And so when you say the economy slowed, remember, most the economy or the economic growth is consumer spending, about 70% of it. So when consumers are delinquent on their credit cards, when they're closer to being maxed out, these are the things, these are the numbers that you see, the savings rate. This is what you see at the beginning of severe financial, I think, hard times, which are going to be here. And for many, it's already here. I mean, all you have to do is drive through any major city. You look at all the people living on the sidewalks, and it's like a third world country in some areas. Something else, though, I wanted to bring up here. We've got this realtor ruling. Judge approves $418 million realtor settlement, upending the way Americans buy and sell homes. Folks, the whole 3% commission on homes, that was inflationary because sellers knew they're going to lose a big chunk, or at least 3% of their home profit. To a realtor, they're more likely to have to ask for more money, right? And of course, the realtor is making commission and a percentage of the sale price, so they want to get as much out of it as possible. Of course, that's just business. But we're going to see how this may or may not affect the real estate market, right? Remember, we've got a combination, opposing inflationary and deflationary forces, right? One example of an inflationary force is all these down payment slash home buyer assistance programs. We just had a new one that rolled out in the Atlanta area, and there's hundreds of these across the nation, probably thousands if you went up and added one, all the different cities. That's inflationary, folks. They're helping people get into a home because otherwise people can't afford it. The homes are too expensive. So when you help people buy things that are too expensive, does it fix anything? No. It makes the problem worse. It doesn't fix the problem, that's for sure. So you're not going to see prices come down if people are just going to get assistance to overpay for some of these assets. In many cases, people are overpaying for homes. Not every case. There's people that I know that bought homes in the past year that are making a lot of money, 200,000 a year with a 50% down payment. You're probably going to be okay, right? But not always, right? So you got to be careful out there. Something else here, though. Speaking of tapped out consumers, we've got Comcast Cable Company. They lost over 487,000 customer subscribers, and they lost 65,000 internet customers in the first quarter of this year. We're going to get more into that next report because there's a few other numbers that I want to tie in with that. We're going to make this a short one. I'm already putting this out kind of late on Saturday, and want to save some stuff for the next report. Probably see you here tomorrow. I think I'll have time to do it. I hope everybody's good. Keep stacking. Bye for now. Peace.